Hello one and all, and welcome back to the Priest of Dispatches channel. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. If you're returning, how you doing? Drop us a like. If you value the content here at Priest of Dispatches, then the best way to support the channel is to subscribe and share the video wherever you feel comfortable. I'll give you a little chance to do that now. Before we get started, a little bit of admin. If, like me, you always found it a little bit of a handful, type in priest.dispatches.com, then it's your lucky day. We now have mormonpd.org. That's mormonpd.org. And here you will be able to find everything Priest of Dispatches, from reviews to the YouTube channel, all the way through to the blog that started it all. These stories are taken from mine and your experiences living in high demand religion. Here on the website, you can also take a look at your Mormon score or your Mormon Mythbuster score and submit it to PD. But for now, let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the world of Priesthood Dispatches, where we tell your stories from the front lines of high demand religion.
So welcome back to episode 4 of Multi-Level Mormon Missionary. It's week 2 in the MTC and the countdown continues. 727 days, and Elder PD is in a right mood. The mission started on a Wednesday and will end on a Tuesday, so we are going Wednesday to Tuesdays, and week 2 goes from Wednesday the 27th of August to Tuesday the 2nd of September 2003. If you've watched last week's episode, you'll know Elder PD is in turmoil. He's struggling with actions from before his mission that weren't quite in line with the For Strength of Youth manual, but then who was? Nothing too serious, but the scrupulosity is raking his soul as he is hothoused in the MTC. If you haven't seen last week's episode, where have you been? Check it out up here now. But obviously, Elder PD does get through this. Otherwise, this series would be really short. But let's see how he got through it. Let's start with the letters. So it's Wednesday the 27th of August, and Elder PD is writing to his beloved Sister PD. And he decides it's time to give Sister PD a rundown of exactly what the schedule at the Missionary Training Center is. You can see here just on the screen excerpts from the letter, and that my writing is absolutely terrible. I'm even struggling to read it now. This is not a true reflection of the excellent educational system we have here in the UK. It is a reflection of the internet age coming into play and never writing anything. But over the 2 years, the writing will improve. 6:30 a.m. you get an hour to wake up, eat breakfast and shower. Now, I would have preferred to have 15 minutes to do those 3 things and have 45 minutes extra sleep. 7:30 a.m. you start with 30 minutes of reading the Book of Mormon. Got to get that in there to make sure that it's well and truly set in the back of your mind. Book of Mormon, Book of Mormon, Book of Mormon, Book of Mormon. 30 minutes on discussions. We had the old school discussions for at least the MTC in the first half of my mission, and then the second half of the mission was Preach My Gospel. 9:30 large meeting room for the devotional. Now that went from 9:30 until 11:30. 2.5 hours in a devotional every day. 2.5 hours. That's more than a conference session with the MTC president speaking. 11:30 until 12:30, we'd go to our district rooms. You can see an image here of the district room and my desk. And then also you'd be there with your district. You see here an image of Jacob District. 12:30 until 1:30, lunch. The food was quite good. There was a professional chef, or at least someone who called themselves a chef, making food every day with his little team. But as missionaries in districts, we would be assigned to dish out the food, also to clean up afterwards and clean the toilets, etc. And that was on a rota for all the districts throughout the weeks. 1:30 till 2:30, it was back to the district room for another hour of lessons with your assigned teacher. So every district had a return missionary who had sparkling recommendation from their mission president to come and shape the minds of young missionaries before we went out into the field. 2:30 till 3:30, we had some time for physical activity. Bit difficult to go and, get changed, get showered and everything, play a game of football in an hour. But we tried on occasion, and it was most likely we ended up just walking around the temple grounds. 3:30 till 5, it was back to the district room for further instruction. Then 5 till 6, we were back in the canteen, checking out those brides who had just been sealed to their eternal husbands. 6 until 9:30, 3.5 hours back in the district room. Now, it's not 3.5 hours of fun frivolity. It's 3.5 hours of bloody, get out the missionary training manual. Let's read this section. Now let's role play that with your companions. 9:30, we would finally retire to our rooms. The instrumental music would start being piped through the whole upper floor of the MTC, including the bedrooms, in order to calm our giddy hearts down and prepare us for bed, so that we dream sweet dreams of missionary work and people inviting us into their homes. And then 10:15, it's quiet time. Anytime that we were noisy after 10:15, if it got too much, the mission president would come over the tannoy and he would simply say, "Quiet dignity." And that was what they trained us to, that phrase, quiet dignity. And whenever you heard that, everyone automatically shut up and felt rebuked. It was almost like they trained us like dogs. Before moving on to further letters, I thought I'd mention something we were being trained in that I was especially uncomfortable with, and that is the commitment pattern, which you can see here on the screen. The commitment pattern includes prepare, build a relationship of trust, help others feel and recognize the Spirit, present the message, find out more, and resolve concerns. So I think this is why people are so successful when you learn the commitment pattern. I kind of called it the manipulation pattern. It made me really uncomfortable in the MTC, and it still makes me uncomfortable today when I see it being used. And unfortunately, I've used it recently, not on purpose, but when you look back at the situation, you realize subconsciously you were going through them steps. And the step that I think annoys me the most, because I hate liars, and this is kind of lying for the Lord, is building relationships of trust. Because what the church teaches you to do in the MTC is to take note of everything about a new investigator, about their lives, about their surroundings, and to make conversation about important things that you see, like children, hobbies, and make out that you're interested in those things too. And in this way, you can build a little friendship before you ask them to read the Book of Mormon or be baptized. Because if you're friends with someone, you're much more likely to trust them and also to do as they ask. But if that friendship is built from the missionary side in a kind of feigned interest of the other person's hobbies or family, then isn't that a relationship that's built on lies? This is what used to make me really uncomfortable. And this method is still alive and well today. If we look at this sister missionary's post on a missionary Facebook group where they're speaking about how to find people through Facebook, search nearby names and then go to their friends list, then go to their friends and friends lists. Keep going for a while, continue adding friends of friends, and you will accumulate mutual friends, which is also important. More people will accept your request, find things on their profile to message them about, and become friends with them first. It doesn't always have to start off like you would a door approach. If all else fails, send memes. So at this point, let's take a brief break in proceedings and ask you a couple of questions. If you went on a mission, did you enjoy your experience of the MTC? Did you have any issues with anything you were taught at the MTC or with the commitment pattern? Do you think missionaries or priesthood leaders, or sisters for that matter, have used the commitment pattern on you? Let me know in the comments down below. And this is the best time to hit the thumbs up. And if you look for this this icon I've got on the screen now, and find the second one also on the screen, which is down in this corner here, push this one. Okay, yeah, done. Okay, let's carry on. Elder PD continued to write on Wednesday the 27th, and this is where the turmoil kind of comes in. Well, today was crap. I pretty much guarantee I'm coming home. I'm sorry, but that is the case. There is no way I can stay because I need to repent. But my dad's been telling everyone to look out for me. Apparently even mentioned it at the conference, how proud he was of me. Now, my parents, as we spoke about before, were very busy organising the Young Single Adult Conference that was to take place. And I guess there was a lot of time that they were just a little bit over busy, maybe, with the church. And I was sat in the cafeteria in the MTC, and an elder who I didn't know very well, an English elder, came over, and he said, "Oh, you're Elder PD?" I said, "Yes." He said he'd received a letter from his sister who was recounting my dad telling everyone at the YSA conference how proud he was of me and how he'd not had much time for me, I guess, before my mission because he was organising the conference. Why he didn't send that in a letter to me, and it came through another missionary through his sister, who knows. But we move on. Sad PD. All I can tell you is that when they send me home, I'm not going home. I don't know where I will go, but I'm not going home. What do you think your family will say about me coming home? Will I still be allowed to see you? Still want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you accept me back? Also, on the Wednesday, we got a lovely 4-page letter from Sister PD in which she asked a lot of questions about companions and different things. And we were texting in between dropping Sister PD off at her home. I still had my mobile phone before I got to the MTC an hour later. So we were texting even after I'd said goodbye to her. And apparently her phone ran out of battery, and that's why I never got a reply to my last text message to her. She speaks about work. Also, Sister PD has been studying at college, and she says that she passed her exams, which was fantastic. Bear in mind, by this point, Sister PD has not had the letters from Elder PD saying that he's coming home. At this point, she's still unaware of his kind of mental state. Now then, Governor, this next letter would set the scene for what was the culmination of Elder PD's turmoil, and that letter is from Elder PD's younger brother, Ben, who was 17 and who was missing him an awful lot. And he was just thanking me for giving him one of my missionary badges, saying how much he missed me, and saying that he cannot wait to see me on the Thursday. And that was the day of the Ward Temple trip. And Elder PD had convinced himself that he was going to be going home on the bus from the Ward Temple trip. So all of the Ward, or all the most righteous people from the Ward, would be at the temple, so on the MTC site and complex the next day. And Elder PD was going home with them. Now, I don't know why I thought that that was a good idea, because imagine the faces when I stepped on the bus. Thursday the 28th of August 2003, and the end was nigh. Elder PD convinced Elder Henderson that he needed to go downstairs before class to see President about something, because after all, if Elder PD was going home that day, he needed to let the mission president know. So he gathered his courage and knocked on the president's door. And there was no answer. The president was not at home. Now, who knows which way the story would have gone if the mission president had been around and Elder PD had gone in and spilt his guts, I really think it comes down to that priesthood leadership kind of roulette. Depending on the mission president, some will have just said, come on, kid, don't worry about it. You know, you're a good kid, carry on. The stricter priesthood leaders,
pack your bags, it's time to go.
So yet another stay of execution. At lunchtime, though, Elder PD and his companion and some other missionaries happened to be taking in the fresh air at the front of the MTC, and he managed to bump into his sister Katrina, his brother-in-law Richard, and two of his nephews, Joshua and Ethan. Now, his nephews were very young, I think maybe like 3 and 5, and they saw their Uncle PD, so they came running over, and Uncle PD, or Elder PD, picked them up. Oh dear. Now that got him in trouble. The mission president's wife pulled him to one side after his family had vacated and told him that missionaries do not pick children up, no matter if they're related to them or not. As the temple trip came and went, so did Elder PD's opportunity for an easy ride home. So, moving on to Friday the 29th, it was P-Day. Hallelujah! For the first time in almost 2 weeks, Elder PD and his comrades were allowed to leave the MTC grounds, but not alone. We were given the opportunity to go to Asda, which is kind of like Walmart. How exciting. Let's hear a little from one of Elder PD's tapes on how that went. As you can hear there, that trip was so exciting that Elder Henderson requested a picture of himself in front of Asda. Woohoo! Crazy days. By the time Saturday the 30th rolled around, Sister PD had received her first set of letters where Elder PD had said he was coming home, and she had now replied to those letters. So let's hear a little bit from Sister PD on what she was thinking and what her reply was.
Hi everyone, it's Sister PD here. We have PD in the Preston, England MTC dealing with all of his emotions, and we have me at home trying to adjust. I mean, people tell you it's going to be hard, so I was almost prepared to receive a letter saying I want to come home. But to read the things which PD wrote and to feel of his emotion and what he was going through was difficult. His letter reads, "Not decided what I will do yet, but life is life. I need to serve a mission." Here is a young man who clearly feels he is out of choices. Here is the person that I love struggling with their emotions all by themselves, and all I really want to do is reach out and hug them, which I can't do, so instead I almost become a bit emotionless. As a missionary girlfriend, perhaps you expect this because people have told you it will be hard. So you decide you're going to stick to the plan. That's what has been drummed into us. This is the only way. PD asks me for my thoughts, and this is what he gets. As I think of our relationship, I think it's fair to say that I am the bossy and controlling one. But still, you asked, and so here are my thoughts. I know it must be hard for you, darling. I always said it would be harder for you than it is for me. But we're not quitters, are we? We've been through tough times in our relationship, but we've never given up on each other, and we're not going to give up on you or your mission now. I mean, if I wanted to be married to a loser, there is
Philomander Puzzlepot
and
Montrose Waskowski,
who have both given up on serving the Lord, but I don't want you to give up. I don't want them. I want you, my man, who managed it and made us both proud and helped so many people. Do you think we would have ever found each other if we weren't members of the church? And look how good we are together. You're the best thing to ever happen to me. So I feel I was a little bit harsh, but also gave lots of love. I also reminded him of what was in the MTC package, along with the missionary waiting pills. That was the last sticker which would go on my chart for day 730, and that I wanted him to bring it home with him and be the one to stick it on my chart.
Thank you, Sister PD. As usual, she wears the trousers for both of us in this relationship. Sister PD mentioned two names there of some of our peers back at home who had chosen not to serve a mission. She used them well because those are two names that vied for her heart at some point in the past. But it's just another example of those cultural pressures and how they can force us to do things that maybe we don't want to do. Sunday the 31st was a special treat for the missionaries at the MTC because we got to go on a church history tour of Preston. Some of you might ask, what's the significance of Preston when it comes to church history? And here to tell us why is Brother Newbold, or as I like to call him, Temple Voice Guy.
The area around the England MTC is rich in LDS church history. The first overseas missions of the church began in Preston, England, shortly after elders Heber C. Kimball and Orson Hyde arrived in Liverpool in 1837. The first baptisms in England were performed in the River Ribble in March of 1837. And in the next few months, in spite of much persecution and difficult challenges, nearly 1,800 people from the surrounding villages accepted baptism. Most of these early English converts traveled to the American West and literally formed the backbone of the growth of the church in its early years. Other historically significant sites in the area include the Market Square in Preston, where the early missionaries held street meetings and proclaimed the restored gospel to interested crowds. This corner house on Fox and St. Wilfrid Streets in downtown Preston was a boarding house in 1837 and was the first place of lodging for these missionaries. It was here where elders Heber C. Kimball and Joseph Fielding saw and visioned the legions of evil spirits who would attempt to stem the work of the Lord in this land.
So that was all the fun of the fair. Thank you, Temple Voice Guy. Right, other notable things that happened this week. Elder PD, doing his laundry for the first time alone, managed to dye his temple socks and ruin a good pair of shorts. Let's hear from him now. Elder Henderson, you truly are a genius. Making sacrifices to the laundry gods is the only way forward. Monday the 1st and Tuesday the 2nd went much the same as the week before. Elder PD, a bit up, a bit down, but he'd resigned himself to the fact that he was just going to have to finish the MTC and see what it was like when he got out into the mission field.
You can do it!
Other letters this week came from Melissa and Kenny, sister and brother-in-law to Sister PD. How nice. Another one from the mother-in-law, or, as she was at the time, Sister PD's mama. One from my mum and dad, saying that mum had been called as a new seminary teacher. Unlucky. Early morning seminary here in the UK too. One from Sister PD's sister, Emma, again. And one from my grandmother, who would, in the coming months, pass away. She wrote a short note just saying how proud she was, and she sent me a £5, which back then bought an awful lot of chocolate. Thanks, Gran. There was also a final letter from Sister PD that came on Monday the 1st. In this letter, she tells me that she is having sympathy early mornings, that she is waking up early, going and kicking her dad out of bed and taking comfort with her mother. Something she also noted during this time was that due to all the crying, she was giving herself nosebleeds, and like every good mother cat, she was off her food. So that's it from Multi-Level Missionary this week. Sister PD, do you have anything else to give us?
If, like me, you're excited to find out where PD's first area will be, it could be so near, but yet so far, then come back next week to MLM to find out where that pin dropped.
Thank you. Yes, please do come back. As always, to support the channel, please like and subscribe, hit the button in the bottom corner, and share this video wherever you feel comfortable. I've been PD, you've been fantastic, but I think the final word today will be from our friends at the MTC, Elder Cower and Elder Henderson. This one is for you, boys.